Ivy Mayer's Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at ntnm.org. Over 300,000 shows watched, and it's actually a lot more than 300,000. Thank you so much. This is our 800th show, for real. I mean, we've done 800 shows on CAN TV, and thank you so much, for watching and keeping us popular enough that we keep going this long. CommunityPolicingCamps24.org. Congratulations to former Community Relations Sergeant Al Nagodi, who just got kicked up from commander to, I don't know if it's deputy chief, but anyway, congratulations. Really good guy, and somebody who was a pleasure to work with, in the day, and probably still is. And Jewish Chicago will be available free throughout Chicagoland. We're going to definitely be stepping up our suburban circulation as well as our city circulation, but the suburban especially so, as we locate more and more places in the suburbs that are serving corned beef, bagels, lox, and other things that tell you there is a Jew present in the establishment. It is a pleasure to introduce you to somebody who's running for judge of the Circuit Court of Cook County, somebody who has been on the show once before, and I have to tell you, before the first time we talked, she was so flattering, and I'm used to hearing flattery from people who want to be on the show, but she was being genuine, and I give her credit for that. Carolyn Joan Gallagher, how are you?
Good, Avi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. And so you're in you're going to run it in the entire Cook County area.
Yes, county-wide race.
So that means you'll be a lot of traveling.
A lot of driving. Yep, from the north to the south to the west to the loop. Yeah, a lot of driving.
So do you have any numbers on how many people actually wind up voting in an average race like this?
I've taken a look at the websites for the Chicago and the State Board of Elections, and at first glance, because I haven't studied it, it looks to me like in a presidential election, maybe 1/4 of the voters actually move all the way down the ballot to the judicial elections and cast their vote.
Which is why I urge people start at the bottom of the ballot where the important races are. You'll always get to the boring ones like president later. But, the truth is that, you know yourself, very few people can have a larger effect on your life than a judge. A president can barely touch you. I mean, yeah, you get to see him on TV and you get to get mad or happy or whatever it is. But, you're talking about your property, your marriage, your freedom, all kinds of things. It's an extremely important thing to start at the bottom of the ballot. So why don't you give us a little bit about your background?
Well, as you know, I majored in journalism in college.
Which is cool.
Because
Very cool.
I love to write, and went right on to law school, and since then have been able to enjoy my writing and put those skills to the test in a different area. I clerked for an appellate court judge fresh out of law school, where I did a lot of legal research and writing, drafting those judicial opinions. I worked at the state's attorney's office as well, writing legal briefs. And then I went into private practice, doing civil litigation for corporations and businesses, commercial litigation, and appellate work. So again, I was able to incorporate my writing skills, but this time combine it with passion for the law. And it's really the reason that I've enjoyed practicing law for 3 decades plus. Wow. Because I love the legal analysis. I love applying the law to the facts of a case to determine the outcome.
Is there a particular area of law that you enjoy the most or are the most comfortable with? Or
I've done so many things that I've loved, but one of the great things is that I've been involved doing pro bono legal services, so giving volunteer legal services to those who otherwise wouldn't have it. Now, in our criminal system, a criminal defendant is always entitled to have an attorney appointed by the state should he or she be unable to afford one. That's not the case on the civil side of things. So through the Chicago Bar Foundation at the Daly Center, I've been able to meet with homeowners who are being foreclosed on and been able to advise them on how to handle their case pro bono. I've worked with the Chicago Legal Clinic, which was started by two of my law school classmates in 1981, and giving pro bono legal services there. I've also had the pleasure of teaching the law. So I taught at DePaul Law School for 4 years.
Very nice.
And was able to work with the new law students as well as the senior level law students, and able to help educate them on the nuts and bolts of the practice of law. And that's something that you don't get a lot of in law school. But when you get out of law school, unless you're going to become a legal scholar or a professor, if you're practicing law, you're in the trenches and you really need to know how to write a motion, write a brief, draft a complaint. And that was a great experience.
No, it sounds it. I had somebody who actually tried to talk me into going to law school, and he basically said, a little cruder than what I'm relating here, you know, the ability to throw the bull well both orally and in writing sometimes can be a very necessary thing in the law. And he said that's something you can do, except the language was much more colorful than that.
I get it.
So, you know, teaching law school, that's pretty cool, actually. So what subject did you teach?
I taught legal research and writing and legal drafting.
Yeah, that's definitely what you're into. No question about it. So, I mean, what do you, now a judge is not allowed to campaign like you would for an ordinary office. You can't go out and make promises. You can't tell people, well, you know, like I'll make this decision in this case or anything like that at all. You can't even touch that stuff.
Not under the judicial canons. And the reason is that we are expected to come to the bench and see the evidence, hear the witnesses, apply the law, and make a decision based on those facts and the law. We are not to come into court with a predetermined decision about how things should come out based on our own personal views. So it's quite the opposite of most other politicians.
No, very much the opposite. And I know that from experience and having to talk to people, this is something they'll tell me off the air, not on the air, but sometimes doing the legal thing, it like rips them apart. But the law is the law, and that's what you got to abide by.
That's correct.
That's for sure. So, I mean, okay, since you're such a good writer, I assume you're a good speaker also, and you're showing me you are. Do you also speak at events that people would like to hear you?
Yes, and that's one of my favorite things to do. So I've particularly enjoyed that on the campaign trail. There's nothing I like better than being able to address a group and talk about our justice system in Cook County, and take questions and listen to them and talk about what's important to them. Because as you aptly pointed out, citizens in Cook County are unlikely to ever get in front of the President of the United States, but they are fairly likely to at least have to go to traffic court on a traffic ticket.
Yeah, I was a witness in a case just a couple weeks ago. So these things definitely do happen, and boy, that judge really, everybody's on pins and needles waiting to see how he affected people's lives. No question about it. In the meantime, Mickey's hands are kind of running to where they're going to run out. Why don't you give us, do you have a website, I assume?
I do. It's www.electgallagher.com.
electgallagher.com. I want to thank you very much, Carolyn Joan Gallagher. And she's also available for speaking engagements, and you just heard her. She speaks very well, as well as writes very well. Thank you very much, and good luck in the election.
Thank you, Avi.